From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in the Netherlands for the NATO Leaders Summit, where they'll talk about a new defense spending target. This could be an increase to 5% of GDP, a sharp hike from the current 2% benchmark. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada is committed to NATO targets and will hit the 2% threshold by the end of the fiscal year.
It is incumbent upon us all to view achieving the 2% is beneficial not only for Canada as a NATO founding member, but also for the safety and security of Canada as a whole.
She says questions remain around the new target about timelines for reaching it. Prime Minister Mark Carney is weighing in on the hostilities in the Middle East. He tells CNN's Christian Amanpour he agrees with U.S. President Donald Trump that missiles fired at an American base in Qatar was a diplomatic move by Iran.
The military action was also a diplomatic move by Iran. It was, we never welcome, obviously, hostilities and reactions, but it was proportionate. It was de-escalatory.
Carney says there were Canadian troops also stationed at the base, but they were not harmed. More than 100 Canadians are set to leave the Middle East tonight on board a government-chartered flight. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says the flight will leave Jordan as Israeli airspace remains closed. Statistics Canada says the annual pace of inflation held steady at 1.7% in May as cooling shelter costs helped tame price pressures. But some economists doubt the May numbers will be enough to convince the Bank of Canada to cut interest rates at its next decision. This is likely the last day of widespread heat warnings in Ontario and Quebec. But Environment Canada meteorologist Stephen Flisfetter says any relief is likely to be short-lived, with 30-degree days re-entering southwestern Ontario by Friday.
It may seem like a double slap in the face to some people, especially those who are more susceptible, people with chronic illness, pre-existing conditions. They would be more at risk, especially without that long-term relief from the heat.
The heat wave toppled daily temperature records yesterday in cities like Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal.
Hey, little woman, please make up your mind.
One of the biggest teen idols from the 1960s and 70s has died. Bobby Sherman was a squeaky clean regular on the covers of Tiger Beat and 16 magazines, and his face was printed on lunchboxes and posters. He had 4 top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, including Little Woman and Julie Do You Love Me. Sherman died at the age of 81 after revealing he had stage 4 cancer earlier this year. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Hockey Hall of Fame has named 6 players to its class of 2025. Defenseman Duncan Keith and Zdeno Chara are joined by forwards Joe Thornton and Alexander McGillney, as well as women's stars Jennifer Botterill and Brianna Decker. Thousands of Oklahoma City basketball fans celebrated their city's first NBA title today with a championship parade. Hamilton, Ontario's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a Canadian flag wrapped around his waist. In baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays are back on the road tonight, starting a 3-game series with the Cleveland Guardians. Toronto FC has its work cut out when it hosts the New York Red Bulls tomorrow. TFC is winless in its last 12 regular season meetings with the New Yorkers. Toronto coach Robin Fraser says the other team has some good players.
They're very difficult to play against, and certainly we know we have to be pretty sharp on both ends of the field to deal with them.
It's Toronto's first game since a March 31st loss to Charlotte FC. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.